Right, well, I've had a little bit of a sit down with a cup of coffee and compose myself a little bit, and I need to find out and satisfy myself why this thing ignited like it did, and try, of course, to stop it happening again. Um, and while I've been having a think about it, whether you can see in there or not, but I've seen we've obviously got an electronic ignition on this bike, and we've got one coil with two leads coming out of it. So that tells me straight away that we've got a wasted spark. We've got both spark plugs sparking at the same time. So each cylinder gets a spark on every top dead centre, or near every top dead centre. Obviously it should be a little just a little bit before that, depending on whether it's retarded or fully advanced. There's auto advance mechanism still operational inside this distributor. The points obviously trigger the electronic ignition, so obviously we've got a range of advanced retard mechanically in there. I don't know actually what goes on in the sort of brains of the electronic ignition, whether that also advances. That's something that I think I probably should look into, because we might be getting the mechanical advance here plus the electronic ignition's advance, if it's got one, which could compound and complicate matters. But in view of the sparks that we'll be getting on the other top dead centre, the overlap top dead centre, where both valves are slightly open, where the inlet valve is starting to open and the exhaust valve is still shutting, that gives a window, if there's quite a lot of fuel about as well, and the plug sparks, of shooting a flame back through the manifold and into the carburettor and lighting it, as we saw earlier. Also, tight tappets, especially obviously inlet tappets, could possibly sort of contribute to that kind of thing going on. So I'm going to make sure that the valve clearances are right, and that we certainly don't have tight inlet tappets. I'll check the exhaust ones as well, as a matter of course, while I'm doing the job. I've also wound the mixture screw almost right in and just a quarter of a turn out. It was actually around about the usual correct setting of about 1.5 turns out, but I've screwed it in more to richen it up, because that spitting back that lit the thing up did suggest perhaps we got a weak mixture. There's only a 110 main jet in this carburettor, although really that shouldn't come into play until the engine's running and we're sort of using larger throttle openings. Pilot jet, as I was rightly informed and corrected on, is there, and it's clear. It was actually blocked. I cleared it. So obviously I'm not just going to go and try and start this thing again in view of what happened before. I'm going to check a few things, and like I say, I don't know whether it would be any advantage or not to put this thing on, because alright, it might sort of make it less likely to sort of spit back and light things, or it could go the other way and this foam perhaps could soak itself or be soaked in petrol and light and act like a sort of incinerator. In spite of all the drama and flames, there's no damage to anything that I can see, and I want to try and keep it that way. So like I say, I'm going to check a few things, and I know full well that we're getting sparks around the other top dead centres, not just the compression ones, and that valves could be open. That could be a cause or a contribution, I don't know, but I'm going to be as cautious as possible before I have a go at this again. And just in case anyone was wondering, I have got various fire extinguishers dotted around the place. I've just got this one that was fairly close and brought it even closer, and I just took it outside and give it a blast to make sure it works, and it does. And that's a CO2 extinguisher. I've also got a larger one, that's a water extinguisher. You don't want to use that. If you've got a fuel or an oil fire, you do not want to use a water extinguisher. The powder ones or the CO2 ones are the best ones to use if you've got fuel or oil lit and you want to put the fire out. The water one will probably just wash it all around and spread it, and you'll end up with more drama and danger on your hands. I can remember that much from years ago when I went on a firefighting course when I worked on the tugs. So like I say, I'm just gonna think and check and double check and make sure I'm confident enough, hopefully, that I'll have reached a point where I'm going to try and start this thing again, and maybe it'll run and maybe it'll behave itself and not try and destroy itself, me and everything else. That would be nice, wouldn't it, folks?